Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely Thanksgiving morning. On this channel, I've gone over a company called Future Motion that makes something called the Onewheel electric skateboard. This is something that I find to be a particularly cool idea. I like the idea of personal electric vehicles, whether they are e-bikes or whether they are these Onewheel electric skateboards. When you have high density areas, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to get around efficiently by car. Cars are simply too big and unwieldy when you have New York City of 8.5 million people in a space the size of Knoxville, Tennessee, or areas like a college campus. So it's really nice to have these other types of devices that allow you to get around that are just more meant for these environments where you want to be able to kind of go in between buildings and be able to not get stuck in traffic all day, for lack of a better way to put it. Unfortunately, the company behind this particular device, in my opinion, is a horrible company, and I've gone over all the reasons in many videos. This video is why the company behind Onewheel sucks in 5 minutes or less, and I go over many of the issues, whether we're talking about the internals that are not put together well, or whether we're talking about the fact that unplugging the battery to service it will brick the device on a $2,000 device with a battery that is guaranteed to die inside of several years. You really do want the ability to service it and not have the device become a brick because you have decided to service the battery. And then there's the actual internal construction of it. So one of the things that they'll say is, we can't have anybody else service the battery for safety reasons, which is the reason that they will use plugs that look like this on their devices for the battery power. This looks like a MacBook fan connector in size, and this is what they are using for a high amperage plug for battery on an electric vehicle. Needless to say, I could go over every single reason this company sucks, but then this will be a 40-minute video rather than a 5-minute video, which is what I want it to be. Now, they have many other issues with safety, such as ghosting. Ghosting is when you get off the board doesn't realize you got off of it and dismounted it, and it just decides to go 20 to 30 miles an hour in whatever direction it feels like and hit somebody on the sidewalk, which is very dangerous for the other people that are around. That's not what it got recalled for. What it got recalled for was something that, in my opinion, was actually somewhat ridiculous. And I will go over this in this video with Josh Haley, Onewheel Safety Concerns Asked and Answered. The TLDR of that video is that there is another safety concern that this was recalled for. These electric skateboards have something called pushback. Pushback is what happens when you are using too much power. This skateboard uses power to move you forward, but it also uses power to balance you so you don't fall off because you are on a one-wheeled skateboard. And if you run out of power because you're going too fast, you will then not have any power left to be able to balance yourself. And once you run out of power to balance yourself, you eat shit and fall off the skateboard. They would not wear a helmet, ride a one-wheeled electric motorized skateboard, and then they would fall off of it and get horribly injured. And it was recalled for safety reasons because of this issue. You would have people that actually ignored the pushback of the device that then hurt themselves when they overutilized the device. So there was a recall that was issued. I personally don't think that this is the reason this device should have been recalled. There are many reasons it should have been recalled. There are wiring harness issues, there are connector issues, there are ghosting issues, but the government decided to push for a recall on this. So whatever. So what they did is they decided to push out a firmware update to everybody that owned this device to be in compliance with the recall. And the problem is this. If anybody has ever tried to install a Windows update that resulted in their Windows install being completely corrupt, you understand where I'm going with this. Many people have been reporting that these firmware updates are killing the device. And when the firmware update kills the device, what do you think happens? Do you think they say, hey, we pushed this mandatory firmware update out to you. As a result of this mandatory firmware update we pushed out to you, bricking your device, mea culpa, we will reflash it for you for free? Or do you think that they're going to say, sucks to suck? If you thought they were going to do the latter, welcome to the world of Future Motion and their garbage products. This comes from the Onewheel subreddit. Heads up, this is the third Onewheel I've bought from Future Motion. I was uncomfortable updating the firmware with the haptic buzz because I don't need it making sounds. Making sounds is what it's going to do now, in addition to providing you pushback for those people that really, really, really want to overuse their skateboard without a helmet so that they don't continue to get in liability and hot water with the government, have to deal with recalls and everything like that. I got a new phone and accidentally auto-updated the Onewheel app. I went to use the board after watching the 4 safety videos. They're obviously being hit with a lawsuit and updating. Red flash and error 23. Future Motion said the warranty ended last month, so it's on me to pay for a repair. Sketchy. I hope my Tesla doesn't do the same update when the warranty runs out. And somebody commented here, I don't think a warranty should matter. It's Future Motion's update that broke your board. It is on them to fix it. And again, this really comes back to what I was talking about in my last video about Apple. I'm not bothered by a company that creates products with design flaws, nor am I bothered by a company that creates expensive responsive products with design flaws. What bothers me is when companies that have many, many more zeros on their market cap than I do are held to a lower standard of accountability and responsibility than I am. If I brick a customer's device, I have to purchase them a new device. If I install a part into a customer's device and I figure out that that part is below par, I have to call every single customer I know that got that part, tell them I'm sorry, I will pay for you to ship that device back into our store, we will replace it for you at no cost, and we'll ship it back to you. Because we run a business that has the most basic level of integrity. I do not believe that what I am doing in these cases is extra credit. This is not something I should be patted on the head for. This is not something I should get 5-star reviews for. This is not something that I should be held in high regard for. This is the bare minimum. This is like showing up for school on time. This is like tying your shoes. This is like not spitting in your customer's food. This is the most basic level of accountability and responsibility that small businesses are consistently held to, and they should be. But then when it comes to a company like this, nobody cares. I get it. Apple has still not covered A1707 machines from 2017 with the same FlexGate issue as the A1706 2016 machine that has the exact same engineering flaw. And people don't hold them accountable. You should have got the extended warranty. It's your fault for installing the update. People always find a way to blame the customer and not the company with tens of millions of dollars in the bank, or in Apple's case, tens of billions of dollars in the bank, that they would be suggesting should be held accountable if my name were there instead of the company. And that's the part that really, really bothers me. This company is allergic to taking accountability or responsibility for anything they do when it comes to poorly treating the user. It's a culture that continues to persist, and this is a culture that I'm afraid of having persist across industries as this becomes more popular. Again, more and more vehicles nowadays. You may laugh and say, I'm not going to buy some stupid one-wheel electric skateboard. What about your car? Look what Rivian did recently. So this says Rivian fat-fingered an update and wound up bricking a bunch of people's infotainment systems. Last night, Rivian began to push its newest over-the-air update, 2023.42.0. Some vehicle owners were excited to get the update to the new version as it promised to improve proximity locking, vehicle access, gauge view, and more, and it soft-bricked the infotainment system of a number of cars. Now, you may think that's just the infotainment system. I'm not going to watch YouTube videos in my car or something like that, but the problem here is that it is not just the infotainment system. It is the speedometer, the climate control, range readout, things that kind of matter if you have an electric vehicle. Wouldn't you like to know how much range you have left if you're going on a 200-mile road trip? Wouldn't you like, if it is 118 degrees in Texas or negative 14 degrees in the winter in New Hampshire, to be able to turn on the heat or the air conditioning? What if that update, instead of bricking the infotainment system, bricked the car? Conversely, what if your car was 2 months outside of warranty? What if you paid $40,000 for your car, a software update bricked it, and they said, sorry, buy a new one? This is the type of world that we are entering, and more important, advocating for if we let Future Motion off the hook when they pull this type of anti-consumer bullshit. In my opinion, if you push an update to a device as a result of a government-mandated recall of that device that then bricks that customer's device, guess what? It's on you to fix it. But maybe I'm crazy. Remember, always remember, every single one of these companies are looking at the behavior of similar companies in similar spaces, and sometimes even in entirely different companies in totally different fields. If you allow one of these companies to fuck over your neighbor because you make fun of them because I wouldn't buy that device, well, what's going to happen when it happens to a device that you own from a company that you like, because they realize they can make more money by not taking accountability or responsibility when they do something wrong or they brick something that you own. If you make fun of your neighbor because it happened to his Onewheel, give it 5 years before something like this happens to a Ford F-150 that has no electric drivetrain parts inside of it, when the computer is that much a part of the entire vehicle. What are you going to say then? I know what I'm going to read in my comments. These people are stupid for buying a Onewheel. I wouldn't buy that hipster product. Look at what happens in almost every industry nowadays. Medical devices are not fixable in many areas. Farm equipment has not been fixable for a lot of people and has had ridiculous restrictions on it for almost a decade now. Farm equipment, tractors. I never imagined when I started this channel that I would enter a room filled with people that are saying the exact same things that I'm saying in a Nebraska legislature that are corn huskers. But they are saying the exact same things because we live in a world now where every single company realizes the worst of another company's practice, as long as it's something that can make them money, is something that's worth mimicking in themselves. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. Would you spend money on a Future Motion product at this point? I sure wouldn't. And I hope you wouldn't either. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.